Correctional officers have many scars for life. Oh, you may not always see them. They may be hidden inside of every correctional officer. Some handle stress better than others, and some end up suffering the rest of their life with terrible thoughts of terrible things that have happened while working as correctional officers. We have to keep one thing in mind. Those that don't show their emotions always have something inside that pops up now and then, even after retirement. And for those that do show their emotions to a traumatic stress, a traumatic incident within corrections, we have to all be there as their brothers and sisters to help them. It is said that pain and scars make us stronger. I truly believe that pain and scars do make you stronger. I believe that going through bad things help us learn so that the next time we can adjust our situation, because every incident in corrections is different, but it'll teach us to adjust and adapt and learn how to handle situations. So yes, going through bad incidents is going to happen in your correctional career. Going through stress is going to be there throughout your correctional career. And that stress is not only inside those walls of the prison and jails, but those long hours of work with no rest is going to carry over into your family life. So you have to be able to find ways to adjust. I believe, however, that we gain strength by pain, but we also hold things inside. We also suffer sometimes physically and emotionally from those things that have made us stronger in corrections. We in corrections have one of the most stressful jobs in the world. And I know there's others out there, folks. I'm not excluding the street officers, the EMS, the airline traffic controllers is listed very high up there. Iron workers way up on these buildings. You know, I know there are other stressful things, but look at the statistics of correctional officers living an average of 8 years after retirement. Average age 58 to 60. That's I don't know how correct that is, but that's what's listed in many studies. But what else happens with correctional officers? Well, post-traumatic stress disorder, hypertension, overexposure to dangers every day within the prison environment. Okay, let's take the long-term traumatic stress disorder. I'm an officer, and I am on hospital watch. An inmate finds a way to break free from being handcuffed to the bed. Somehow, some way it's happened, and I won't give this particular person's name, but it's happened. I won't give this particular incident on where it occurred either. And the inmate now beats the female officer badly. She fights. She struggles hard. She is really trying to keep this inmate from escaping and do her job, but she finally goes down. The inmate could have killed her, but his mind was on escape. The inmate later, when the investigation took place, had even mentioned, I'm going to kill an officer on hospital watch. This female officer just happened to be the victim that day. Now the inmate runs out of the hospital through the parking lot. The officer, hurting terribly, bleeding, is chasing the inmate. A patrol car comes through, luckily. I can't say the name of the town or it'll give away where it happened. But the patrol car comes through and sees an inmate running naked through the parking lot with part of a bed rails and handcuffs. Well, they get the inmate, and the officer, when all the adrenaline is out, knows that the inmate is captured, just, collapses. Let me tell you, that stayed till today. This person no longer works in corrections. This person was actually out for quite a while. Tried to come back, couldn't do it. Went to another section of the department where she didn't have to work with direct contact with the inmates. That still didn't work. Now is running her own business. But till today, she has stated, there'll be times when I think, just out of the blue, is he behind me? Post-traumatic stress disorder. This is what officers go through from inmate attacks. Okay, I'm a big, strong male. I get attacked by an inmate. I finally subdue the inmate and win. Everything's great. I'm good. Well, I got injured, etc. Now, no matter how big, strong, and tough I am, is this going to give me some stress? Yes, it is. Is this going to make me look a little more and look around and wonder, our surroundings? We live in dangerous surroundings. It does not matter, male, female, whatever, how big you are, how tough you are, how small you are, it doesn't matter. We all go through stressful events in corrections, even if we're holding it inside of us. I did not think that I had anything that bothered me. And there was a particular death that I dealt with, not an inmate, and I got up in California in front of a group of deputies to give a presentation on stressors in corrections. And I gave that story, and I actually cracked up. And I'm standing in front of these people just, a month ago or two, not understanding, why am I getting like this? I'm actually getting choked up, teared up. Why? Later, a captain friend of mine, Captain Helwig, Wisconsin Department of Corrections, told me, that was post-traumatic stress disorder, Gary. I said, what? I don't have post-traumatic. Yes, that was. And the sheriff and everybody was there. They said, yeah, you suffered a traumatic event in corrections, and when you worked the road as a military policeman, that was what that story was about, actually. And you don't realize it. It's inside you to this day, and it's long gone. That was many years ago, and it surfaced. So there's two examples of what we face as correctional officers, okay? Now, our exposure to many dangers as well. Now, think about those officers that have been held hostage in riots. The Attica riot, the Santa Fe prison riot, recent riots, the Maryland riot, the lieutenant that got killed, but other officers have now lost a fellow officer to an officer death. Look at those stressors that are there. Look at that. You tell me that's not going to stay with you for life? So I think sometimes as correctional officers, we have a tough guy, girl persona. You can't get through this hard shell. When they do, I always thought I had a hard shell. I never walked around with a chip on my shoulder. I tried to treat everybody fair and not be the tough guy attitude. But you know what? You think you're okay and you can handle all this. And I'm going to tell you right now, every one of us, some won't admit it, have had stress that has affected their life from working in corrections. Okay? Just some are able to handle and hide or contain the distress better than others, but it's there. But even those officers that are at risk of, even those officers are at risk of something triggering. I just was triggered years later when I did that presentation telling a story about an incident. It happens to everyone. Don't let anybody fool you. Some may be more minor, some may be more serious. What can we do now? Oh, what's another stressor before I say what can we do? I like to give some kind of solution, some kind of helpful hint that can help us. We're not going to cure stress in corrections. It's there. Staff shortages, overwork, dangers of being inside the prison and jail, susceptible to diseases that are in the prison and jail. But there's another stressor. Sorry, management, but I'm going to mention you. Management can stress the heck out of officers. If you're dealing with poor management, they will stress you to death, because now you're not only worried about protecting your fellow officer and the civilian staff in the jail or prison, protecting yourself from the dangers. Now you're thinking, now I've got to do this exactly the way they want me to, or they're going to try to burn me and fire me. Now, are there incidents where people need to be terminated? Well, yes, criminal incidents, bringing in drugs and things. That's another stressor. When a dirty officer brings in drugs and weapons for inmates, they're placing the honest, hard-working officers in danger, another stressor. But anyway, we're talking about, you made a mistake in the policy and procedure. Now we want to give you 10 days on the porch with no pay. Well, I did everything the way I thought I was supposed to do. I didn't have any ill will, any bad intentions. Why am I being scrutinized to the point of where I have to have 10 days with no pay? Well, that 10 days with no pay could be the house payment, right? Now you're going to be one house payment behind. Can management sometimes be like a judge in a courtroom and we'll give a benefit of the doubt here and there and not be so severe on every little thing? Understand each incident is a little different, and let's try to work with our officers. If you fire or terminate every officer for making a mistake in a policy and procedure. Now, I'm not talking about a mistake that leads to a death. I know there's some mistakes that are blatant, serious. I'm talking about the officers doing their job, trying their very best, and the incident or situation changes, and your policy and procedure doesn't quite line up with this change. Hey, this is new to me. My policy and procedure doesn't, my training, poor training, my training didn't teach me this. Uh-oh. What am I going to do now? So you make your own decision, and now they want to put you on the porch for 10 days with no pay, or even worse, fire you. Well, managers, retention, right? You want to keep officers, right? Didn't I just say at the beginning of this video, sometimes going through pain, bad incidents, let's add making mistakes and learning from those mistakes as well, okay? We have got to retain our officers. Now, will that officer be a better officer after we go through this? Coach them, talk to them, have a debriefing with them on the incident. Not going to put paper on you. No, sit down with the officer. Let's discuss the scenario. Let's discuss what you could have done better. What do you think you could have done better, officer? Now, that incident, which is non-termination style incident, just a mistake on policy and procedure, we can now teach that officer. That's a training tool you have in your pocket. Teach that officer to do it right next time. Now, if the officer goes back and continues, you're going to have to do, some different kind of steps, take different steps, documentation, do what you have to do. But we've got to give our officers a chance. You can't just say, oh, this happened, boom, you're out of here. Or the inmate said this happened, boom, you're out of here. That really irks me. One other thing that stresses an officer. An incident occurs and the supervisor walks in and the inmate says, Sergeant, this is what the officer did. And the sergeant goes with the inmate and listens to the inmate for 10, 15 minutes. Now I'm the officer standing here and you haven't come and asked me what happened. Oh, that's not very good in the eyes of the inmates. That degrades the officer. It degrades the officer inside. And you want to retain officers? No, you get the officer and say, inmate, I didn't ask for you right now. Go on back. I'll get with you later. And you and the officer go talk about what happened. Remember who's got the shield on. Remember who's wearing the uniform. Remember who took the oath. Remember who went through the academy. That inmate didn't go through that. The officer did. Let's listen to our officers and try to help. Yeah, we'll go talk to the inmate as well. We have to, we're going to have a report. But let's keep things in order, supervisors. We're not bowing down to every little thing. We're going to do carrier custody and control. We're going to protect the inmates. We're going to feed them. We're going to get them a medical. We're going to give them dental. But we're not going to bow down with the inmates over our officers. But we will keep care of the inmates like we're supposed to do. Never forget that. All right, so no support will put a stress on your officers. Poor training will put a stress on your officers. Reliving bad experiences of any of these things I talked about will hurt an officer's stress level and all that. And we talked about taking it home. We've got to be able to talk to someone. We never walk alone in this world. Remember, you have to have someone to talk to. Don't keep things inside. Talk to your fellow officer. Talk to your wife. Talk to your brother. Talk to somebody. Don't hold these things inside. Now, a couple of quick ones. I'm going to do an exercise video as I do every year near my birthday, and I actually exercise and throw it up in the left corner of the video because, okay, nobody wants to see a 64-year-old man exercise, I know, but I practice what I preach. I don't like people just talking about get out there and exercise to relieve stress. So I like to practice what I preach. But exercise is one of the best stress relievers available. Please try to fit 20 minutes 3 times a week. And if you could fit more, do it. And I'll post an exercise video for correctional officers later. For you folks that are already in training and great runners, great athletes, great weightlifters, don't make fun of people that are trying to get in some kind of shape or have never exercised before. I've put these videos up before about exercising, and someone will go, ha ha, oh, wow, what a weak-ass training. Well, no, it's not weak-ass for everybody. We all have different levels. I'm 64 now. I can't do what I did when I was in the Army in my 20s and 30s. Okay, I can't do that anymore, but I can still do those exercises, just not as fast and not as pretty. Same for people that are coming off the couch saying, I've got to get my butt off this couch and exercise. Give them hope. Give them strength. And if you're such a good athlete and so strong and a great runner, you help your fellow officer. Get them with you. Come with me. Come with me to the gym. We'll start you out slow while I do my workout. Help them. Don't brag about yourself. Help those officers. And then management must accept some of the responsibility of all this. In the end, they have to. You need good supervisors who will ask you if you need anything, if everything's okay. You need good training. You need supervisors that will ask you your opinion on something and maybe accept your opinion and maybe not, but at least they gave you the benefit of the doubt and listened to you. So management must accept some of the responsibility. If management accepts responsibility for helping their frontline officers, and you can get in the exercise program, and if you need to talk to somebody, get into therapy, counseling, or a buddy, a mentor. Grab you a correctional officer mentor and let them help you. If you can do any of those things, or not any, if we can do all of these things I just mentioned here at the end, we can put a dent in the stress in corrections, please. Corrections is a stressful job, and it always will be. But let's put a dent in the stress and try to help some of our officers with safety, physical safety, mental health safety, and support. Thank you very much. Gary York, True Prison Stories. Please subscribe.